What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this week's episode of Outside the Arena with Mac and Griff. I'm Griffin Zenek, joined by my co-host, Mac Rommel. And first off, happy July 4th, everyone. We're recording this on the day that it's coming out. So, everyone, happy July 4th. Hope you have yourself a very good day. See some fireworks, have some good food, spend some good time with family, and all that. That's the goal. But we are going today to talk very briefly. This isn't going to be too long of an episode, probably 15 minutes. I mean, you can tell how long it is, but I can't imagine it'll be too long. We're just going to talk about the conference finals in the NBA playoffs. I think we should touch on it as well as previewing the NBA finals, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, will start on July 6th, so Tuesday, in Phoenix, game one, Bucks, Suns. Kind of a crazy finals when you think of it. I don't think anyone really predicted this, especially coming into the year, but even when the playoffs started, I don't think anyone was thinking Bucks Suns as the finals per se. But alas, we are here. And first, Mac, I guess we can start with the series that wrapped up first, and that was the Clippers and the Suns. The Suns obviously got the job done in 6 games. They went up 2-0. Clippers kind of looked like they were coming back, but Phoenix in the end was able to hold them off, win the series. So, Mac, kind of just your thoughts on the series. We saw Chris Paul out to start, but he obviously came back midway through and made a pretty big impact. And now all of a sudden, this Phoenix team is 4 wins away from a championship. Pretty crazy.
This Phoenix team, is only 4 wins away from winning an NBA Finals championship title. So the Suns, they came out and they won the first 2 games. So first game, you see for the Clippers, Paul George shooting 34, Reggie Jackson with 24. But Booker came out hot. He's dropping 40, Ayton with 20. The Suns shooting much better from the field. That game 1, they shot 10% better, and this is what I'm expecting from the Suns when they're winning these games. They're obviously a high-powered offense. Defensively, they could hold things down, but offense is really their specialty so far in the playoffs. Game 2, they win a close one, 104-103. For the Clippers, you have Paul George with 26, Reggie Jackson with 19. But you're looking at this group of guys, Ayton, Booker, Payne, they combined for 73 points. They're shooting better from the field. In game 2, the Clippers shot 15% better from 3. It was not enough to beat the Suns. And then game 3, as you said, the Clippers trying to turn things around. They get the win. They win 106-92. And you're seeing this group, Bridges, Ayton, Booker, Paul, and Johnson, all over 10 points for the Suns. George and Jackson for the Clippers combined for 50. Terrence Mann, Ivica Zubac combined for 27, The Clippers shot 7% better. I mean, eight more free throws, Game 4, Suns rebound. They go up 3-1. They win a close one, a low-scoring game, 84-80. Ayton, Booker, Paul for 61. George and Jackson over 20 for the Clippers. The Suns shooting much better. And then Game 5, and this is where the Clippers were really trying to turn things around and flip the script of this series. They went and they made this series 3-2. They won 116-102. Paul George had 41 points. Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, both over 20 points. They were wishing they could turn things around, but game 6 came around and the Suns demolished the Clippers 130-103. Chris Paul had 41 points in his return, like you said. Book with 22. Crowder had 19. And then on the other hand for the Clippers, Morris and George, they combined for 47. But you're looking at the way the Suns are shooting. They shot 14% better from the field, 25% better from 3. And the Suns were able to out-rebound by 15. The Suns team with their high-powered offense, if they could shoot the way that they have been shooting in this conference finals, and even before that, the Suns shouldn't have a problem beating the Bucks in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I think with this series, it was interesting for sure to see what happened. I mean, Chris Paul was out for the first 2 games. It was, for the Clippers, you look at the Clippers and the main absence for them was Kawhi Leonard. He was out the whole series. He was injured, never could get back on the court. So that really cost them. I mean, you see they took it to 6 games without their best player. They really put up a fight. Paul George had an excellent series. Obviously, you can look at game 2, I believe it was, and say those free throws he could have made and whatnot. But at the end of the day, he performed to an exceptional level throughout the series and played great basketball and kept them in that series. They were the reason. That's the reason they won 6 games. Everyone would have been swept if he didn't play that well the whole series. So he had a fantastic series. fantastic playoff run in general for him. He kind of wiped the doubts and the haters, put him to rest almost with this playoff run. So great job by Paul George. The surrounding cast played pretty well, but at the end of the day, the Suns are just a little too high powered to beat without your best player. We've seen that this whole playoff run with them. You look at the Lakers; they had no Anthony Davis really. You look at the Nuggets; they were without Jamal Murray, and now the Clippers without Kawhi. Obviously, the Suns can't do anything about it, and no way am I trying to discredit their title run and whatnot. But at the end of the day, fate just kind of happened, and they didn't have as hard of a schedule as they potentially could have if some of those guys were healthy. But at the end of the day, they capitalized and they played great the whole playoffs. They beat up on all these teams. So there's not much you can really say. It wasn't really close. The Clippers one was the closest series, and even then, it seemed like the Suns pretty much had control. But like you said, that Game 5 win for the Clippers, it almost seemed like the series might turn around there. Ty Lue, notorious for coming back from down 3-1 especially, but also just being down in general. So Game 6 in LA, that could have been a huge game. Obviously, Paul George or Chris Paul, 41 points. You're not going to be able to win when he's doing that. DeAndre Ayton played a great series. I mean, this Suns team is a complete team. It's well coached, and overall, it's just a super exciting team. Congrats to Phoenix. They deserve it. They haven't really had a great team since the Charles Barkley era, and it's pretty crazy the turnaround they've made from, I believe it was not second worst. I think it was the Hawks that was second worst. But I mean, a team that missed the playoffs last year, they played great in the bubble, but all of a sudden to an NBA Finals team that could even be favored right now with the injury of Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is where we'll go right now. We'll go to the Bucks and the Hawks, another series that was interesting, to say the least. 6 games. Trae Young was out. He did play the last game, but you could tell he wasn't 100%. He was a little banged up throughout the series. Giannis went down, I believe it was in Game 3. It might have been Game 4, but either Game 3 or Game 4. Giannis is out. Game 4. So yeah, it was interesting. Who knows his status for the finals? We're going to touch on that in our prediction for the finals. But Mac, what were your thoughts on this Bucks Hawks series? Obviously, for the Hawks, it was kind of a run that a feel good story. I know I was definitely cheering for them. They were the team that I was hoping would maybe make it to the finals and somehow win. The Trae Young injury seemed pretty costly. They couldn't go out without him and capitalized. And tough loss for them.
Yep, I completely agree. I think the Trae Young injury, the Giannis injury, that really completely changed the script of this series in general. I mean, you see the Hawks, they come out, they win Game 1, 116, 113. You see the impact that Trae Young had. He had 48 points. You have John Collins, who had 23 points. And then you're looking at the impact, on the other hand, with Giannis. He and Drew Holiday in Game 1 combined for 67 points for the Bucks. Game 2, the Bucks win this one, 125-91. Hawks had 4 players over 10, but this is one of those games where you're seeing Trae Young, if he doesn't have one of those star player games or star player like games where he's dropping 30 plus points, the Hawks seem to struggle. This game, he only had 15 points, but they had 4 players over 10. On the other hand, for the Bucks, you had Giannis, Holiday, Lopez, Middleton. They combined for 78 points. The Bucks shot 11% better from the field, 11% better from 3. And really, the specialty of the Bucks, what they do best, they could out-rebound you. They out-rebounded the Hawks by 13. And that's something I'm going to look for in the finals. If Giannis comes back, you're going to need to be able to out-rebound the Suns and get that ball back and put points up on the board. Game 3, the Bucks win it again, 113-102. Middleton had 38 points. Giannis had 33 points for the Bucks. Trae Young, you're seeing the star talent in him with 35. They came up short in this game, weren't able to win it. But the Bucks, once again, you're seeing the rebounds, 15 more rebounds than the Hawks had. Game 4, the Hawks won this one, 110-88. This is when Trae Young first was out, and the team really was able to put together a show and win this game. Holiday, Middleton, Giannis for the Bucks combined for 49 points. We had Herter, Williams, Capella, Reddish, Gallinari, Bogdanovich, all over 10 points for the Hawks, really making a team effort to contribute to get this win while Trae Young was out. Hawks 10% better from the field, 14% better from 3. Game 5, this is where Giannis is finally out for these last 2 games. The Bucks won this one 123-112, and I think really the Bucks have a really decent chance, even without having Giannis, to put up a good fight against the Suns. excuse me. You had Brooke Lopez putting up points. He had 33. Middleton and Holiday combined for 51. Portis had 22. You having all these guys going over 20 plus points for the Bucks without your best player making this team effort, like we're seeing with the Suns. You have all these players contributing, and that's why they're doing so well, especially on offense. Game 6, Young comes back, as you said, not 100% healthy, but the Bucks end up taking this one, 118 to 107. Young came back. He only had 14 points, looking like game 2 where he was a bit iffy. Bogdanovich and Reddish both had over 20 points, but for the Bucks, Middleton had 32. Holiday had 27. And I'm going to leave it right there because my next point would be leading up to our predictions for the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I think with this series, game 1, Trae Young put up a historic performance, 48 points. I believe it was 11 assists, 7 rebounds, something like that, maybe 7 assists, 11 rebounds, one of those two. But he went out there and played great. John Collins played great game 1. So you look at game 1 and you're like, oh wow, this Hawks team may compete. They're just still in game. Game 2, Trae doesn't have a great game, and Giannis is playing good. But I think for the Bucks throughout the series, the key 2 players was Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. I mean, they played fantastic throughout the whole series, specifically Drew Holiday, who I believe won the MVP of the series, maybe. Or I don't even know if that's a thing, actually. I saw him holding a trophy, so I was assuming he either won MVP or I guess he was just holding the trophy. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if there's an MVP, actually, for the series. I'm going to take that back. But he might have been the MVP for the series. He played great. He played great in Game 6. But those two were the key for them when Giannis went down. You look at Game 4 when Giannis was in there, and the Hawks put up a very strong game. Lou Williams had a very good game from the field. He shot well. You look at the surrounding cast, like you said, with like guys like Herter, Bogdanovich, Reddish. They were making shots. That was big. So it kind of looked interesting. And when Giannis goes down, Game 5, all of a sudden, it's like, who is the better team without their superstar? People might think the Hawks, but at the end of the day, the Bucks. People can't forget Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. That's just too much for the Hawks to handle without Trae Young. They need Trae Young. He's their star player. He's what they run their offense through. And yeah, they got a game, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. And you look at Game 5, Brooke Lopez, 33 points, like you mentioned. The Bucks can't count on that for the NBA Finals against DeAndre Ayton. That's just not realistic. So you're going to need guys like Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday to step up if Giannis is out. We'll touch on that in a second. But, like you said, the Hawks, historic run. I think, especially, we're in the New York area. A lot of people thought, complete bias, but they said the Knicks were going to be sweeping the Hawks. It'd be an easy series. And you look at what the Hawks did. They went basically floored the Knicks, beat the Sixers in 7, and then took the NBA Finals, NBA Eastern Conference champions to 6 games. I can't speak English, but historic season for the Hawks. All props to them. I'm so excited to see what Trae Young does next. And for the Bucks, Giannis finally gets a chance to go to the finals. His team is back in the finals for the first time since I think like in the 1900s, 1970s, 1980s, something like that. I saw something crazy. So it's been a while for the Bucks, but well deserved. And we'll see. Maybe Giannis can get on that ring chasing and start getting some rings together. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
It definitely will. If Giannis comes back, this series will get very, very interesting. But let's go and, I guess, predict this series. I guess I'll start off. I do think the Suns are going to win, especially with Giannis out right now. I mean, if he comes back, I'm thinking it'll be middle of the series. But by that point, I do think the Suns would have a decent lead on the Bucks by that point. And the main point I want to make for the Suns is their offense is just too high powered. You're not just having Booker and Paul carrying this offense. You're having all these guys, Bridges, Ayton, Johnson, all these different players that have been able to find a time through at one point through these playoffs to all work together, contribute, and play as a team to put up points and beat their opponent. And they've been doing that multiple times. Each and every series, we're at least seeing 1 to 2 games where all these guys contributing and have a huge, huge game against whoever they're going against. And for this conference finals, it was game 3. You had Bridges, Ayton, Booker, Paul, and Johnson all over 10 points and able to contribute in that game. And then for the Bucks, as you said, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, they're going to have to be able to put up some points and play very, very well against the Suns if Giannis is out to put up a fight and beat this team. And they're going to have players, like Brooke Lopez, who are going to have to come out and play well, all these different guys, and I think it's too much for the Bucks to be able to join together without your star and best player to come and win this series. If Giannis comes back middle of the series, I think they could put back up a fight and possibly beat the Suns. But I think the Bucks don't have to rely on rebounding. As I said, that's what they were doing best in this series. If you're able to out rebound the Suns, you could put up a good fight. But right now, I think the Suns' offense is too good, and the Bucks, their offense and the whole team in general right now without Giannis is a little bit too questionable for me to put my faith in the Bucks winning this NBA Final Series.
Interesting prediction. I'm sorry, did you say games? Like if you had to predict what game it goes to, what would you say for that?
What game it goes to? I'm thinking Game 6. Game 6, Suns in 6.
6. Suns in 6. All right, that's interesting. I'm gonna go for the Bucks here. I'm gonna go Bucks in 7. And I'll tell you why. I think realistically, from what I've read, Giannis is probably gonna miss a game or two. I think by game 3 he'll be back. So for me, this Bucks team is gonna be the most complete team the Suns have faced in the playoffs. It's gonna be their hardest challenge for sure. You look at the Clippers; they're a strong team, but without Kawhi, Nuggets were never nowhere near the team they could be, and the Lakers were a mess. So this is going to be a tough series, especially if Giannis is back. But I think the Bucks do match up well with the Suns. You look at Drew Holiday on the defensive side; he's a great defensive guard. He's going to be able to choose one of Booker or Chris Paul to guard, and I think one of those guys is gonna struggle a bit. They're both superstars, but at the end of the day, Drew Holiday is going to play some good defense on them. He's going to make it challenging for them. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond. I think the Suns offensively, they're just going to have to attack Brook Lopez. That's the weak link on that team with DeAndre Ayton. So that's going to be interesting to see. But also with Giannis, if he is in there, they don't really have a great guy on Phoenix that can guard him per se. I mean, you look at some of the teams they faced. Look at Atlanta. They had, John Collins, Clint Capella. Obviously, you do have DeAndre Ayton, but at the forward position, you got McCall Bridges and Jay Crowder, two guys who aren't necessarily the biggest and not known for defense per se. So I think that is one area where the Bucks have a severe mismatch, as well as Chris Middleton. I think Chris Middleton's going to have a good series. I think you look at the Bucks. I really like what they have right now. And I think if Giannis, which I do think he's going to come back, that's kind of the whole prediction. If Giannis doesn't play this series, the Phoenix Suns will win. But in my eyes, if Giannis is back by game 3, and then the Bucks, I think they might split the first 2 games. I think it's going to be a good series from there on out. And I think game 7, we're just going to see Giannis and be too good. I think Giannis is the best player on the floor in the series. Drew Holiday has really established himself as a very good player in these playoffs. So I think for the Phoenix Suns, it's going to be about attacking Brook Lopez. It's going to be about finding open space with their guards. And it's going to be about shutting down Giannis if he does play. They don't have a clear guy to guard him, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. But in my eyes, Giannis comes back around game 3. I think Giannis and the Bucks will win in 7 games. I think it's a very good series, but I do believe the Bucks might have the upper hand, if Giannis is playing.
All very good points. Rome would be very disappointed. Well, it's going to be very disappointed in you when he hears that. I'm at least siding with my cousin, but I guess you'll have
no
to hear.
Family relation, no sympathy.
Okay, fair point. But I guess with that, we can wrap things up here on Outside the Arena. Make sure you all like, comment, and subscribe, not only on this channel, but on our other channel, OTA Clips. We post shorter breaking news type episodes. And then also go over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're Outside the Arena on there. If you don't want to pull up YouTube, you don't want to watch the video, you go there. You can listen to audio only. If you are in the car, that may be easier for you. So be sure to go check us out and subscribe to us there. And then if y'all want to come on, talk with us on OTA Clips, whatever it may be, make sure to follow us on Instagram. My Instagram is mac.rommel. Griffin's Instagram is
Griffin Senek.
And our podcast Instagram is Outside the Arena Podcast. So as I said, feel free to reach out to us there. That would be the best place to do so. And as always, we'll see you all next week. Stay safe and enjoy your 4th of July.